When you hear the term anti-aging, your mind probably jumps to tech billionaires spending millions to try and live forever. It's a lot of noise. But what if the real secret to turning back the clock wasn't some crazy expensive treatment? Today, we're going to cut through all that hype and look at the hard science that shows how you, yes, you, can actually reverse the age of your heart. So that's the big question, right? Is this whole age reversal thing just a game for the super rich with their experimental drugs and teams of doctors? Or is there a real scientifically proven way for the rest of us to actually do it? Let's dig in. All right, so to get to the real stuff, we have to first unpack all the hype. And you can't talk about anti-aging these days without talking about the tech entrepreneur Brian Johnson. He's made waves all over the world with a really, really bold claim. I'm sure you've seen this quote floating around. At 47 years old, Johnson says he's rolled back his biological age by decades, and he's got tons of data to back it up. But what do those numbers actually truly mean? Okay, here's the best way to think about this. These biological age tests, they're really statistical tools made for looking at massive groups of people. It's like having a weather satellite that's awesome at measuring an entire forest. But if you try to use that same giant satellite to measure one single tree, one individual person, the accuracy just totally falls apart. And when I say it falls apart, I mean it. Get this. The margin of error on these tests is a staggering 4 to 5 years. That means you could take a test and it says you're 30, and then 2 weeks later, the exact same test could say you're 25 or 35. With a potential 10-year swing, these claims of being a precise age start to sound, well, pretty unscientific. And this brings us to a really crucial point. There are two totally different things people call age reversal. The first one is just stopping damage. If you're living an unhealthy life and you suddenly clean up your act, your health markers will improve like crazy. It looks like you're reversing age, but you're really just hitting the brakes on what was making you age faster. True reversal is taking a healthy person and making them biologically younger. That's a whole other ballgame. So, let's step away from the billionaire experiments and talk about a real, invisible danger that affects pretty much all of us. It's a crisis caused by two things that modern life has way too much of: sugar and shares. So let's follow a single sugar molecule on its tragic little journey inside your body. You eat something sweet, and boom, glucose floods your system. Insulin shows up, it's like a key ready to unlock your muscle cells to store all that energy. But here's the problem. If you're sitting on a chair, your muscles are offline, the doors are locked. So these poor, homeless glucose molecules are just wandering around in your blood with nowhere to go, until they crash into something. And what do they crash into? They smash into your proteins, specifically the collagen that gives your heart its structure and flexibility. This chemical car crash is called glycation. The sugar molecule literally fuses with the protein, permanently bonding to it and creating this stiff, brittle, useless thing. The best analogy I've ever heard for this, it's like making candied fruit. The extra sugar just sticks to the soft, flexible collagen fibers in your heart. And over years and years, it builds up and hardens into this sugary, stiff shell. Your heart literally becomes candied. And the fallout from this, it's catastrophic. That springy, elastic collagen completely loses its function. Your heart becomes stiff and brittle. It actually gets smaller and can't fill up with enough blood, so it struggles to pump. This isn't some minor side effect. This process is one of the main reasons people get heart failure. Okay, so that's the scary part. We understand the problem. But now let's talk about the solution. And this isn't just me saying, hey, you should exercise more. This is a precise scientific prescription that comes from a huge study at the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center, designed specifically to reverse this damage. So what they did was take a group of 50-year-olds who'd been sedentary for a long time and put them on a 2-year plan. The first 6 months were super important. It was an awakening phase, just gradual cardio to build up their fitness safely. But it was only after they built that foundation that the researchers unleashed the real secret weapon. And here it is, the weapon, a very specific type of high-intensity interval training, sometimes called the Norwegian 4x4. The recipe is exact. You go all out for 4 minutes, pushing your heart rate way up there. Then you recover for 3 minutes, but it's an active recovery, like a slow walk. You don't just stop. And you repeat that whole cycle 4 times. But wait a second. Why 4 minutes, right? Why not 1 minute or 5 minutes?
this isn't just some random number they picked. The reason for 4 minutes is where the science gets really, really elegant.
Okay, get ready because this is so cool. When you start exercising that hard, it takes about 2 minutes for your heart to ramp up to its maximum stroke volume. That's the most blood it can pump with a single beat. If you stop there, you'd miss the magic. It's the next 2 minutes that do the work. That's when you are forcing that stiff, candied heart muscle to stretch and expand to its absolute limit, which sends a massive signal to your body that says, we need to get stronger and more flexible.
So imagine this. For 2 whole years, these people stuck to the plan. They did their high-intensity days, their long cardio days, their strength training. After all that work, the researchers brought them back into the lab for the final tests. And what they found? Well, it's just stunning.
So first, the simple fact. They started the study when they were 50. 2 years went by, so now, chronologically, they were 52 years old. Simple math. But then, they put them in the MRI machines. They looked at the actual physical structure of their hearts, the size, the elasticity of the muscle. And what they saw was no longer the heart of a 52-year-old. It was, physically, the heart of a healthy 32-year-old.
I mean, just let that sink in for a second. This wasn't a statistical guess from a blood test with a huge margin of error. This was a measured, physical, 20-year structural reversal of the organ itself. They literally broke off that hard candy shell and made their hearts young again. Okay, so this is mind-blowing, right? It's proven science. But I know what you're probably thinking right now. Who on earth has 5 or 6 hours a week to do all this? And that's the biggest hurdle. The answer isn't about finding more time. It's about a complete and total shift in how you think about exercise. We need to completely reclassify what exercise is. For most of us, it's a hobby. It's a nice to have, something we do when we feel motivated or have some extra time. We have to ditch that view. The new reality is that exercise is personal hygiene. It's a must-do, just like brushing your teeth to prevent your organs from failing.
I mean, really think about it. You don't wake up in the morning and ask yourself, am I feeling motivated enough to brush my teeth today? Of course not. You just do it because you know the consequences are cavities, pain, and your teeth falling out. We have to apply the exact same logic here because the science is clear. The consequences of not moving are so much worse. We're talking about brain shrinkage, cognitive decline, and a heart that literally gives out. And that kind of leads to a much bigger question, doesn't it? If we know scientifically that daily movement is as critical to our health as clean water, can we really just leave it up to individual willpower? Or is it time to think bigger? How could we redesign our cities and our jobs to make movement the easy default option instead of something you have to force yourself to do? Now that's a question worth thinking about.